Hi, hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. We are here today.
I don't know what accent that is that you're pulling out.
I don't either. A lot of things I don't know about me.
I know you done been all over and lived all over the state and picked up accents from all over, but I don't know what that was.
I don't know, man, but I'm pretty cool about it, man.
All right, now I see where you're going.
All right, folks, welcome to the program. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, as always, the Hickson has it hotline. All right, legislature. There's been some negotiating going on behind the scenes at the in Baton Rouge. What's been really negotiated, who knows? As you know, the session kind of shut down. By the way, I did hear that it's not 100% total shutdown from yesterday. There was a representative that lost a parent. Some people wanted to take time to go to the funeral. There was some talk behind the scenes. I still think Republicans make a major mistake by doing any permanent taxes. I'm going to prove my point again that Bell Edwards is no different than any other governor. The state of Louisiana, with all the fine people here, and God knows I don't ever want to go anywhere else. I love it here. A lot of people love it here. We love the state. We love the culture. We love a lot of the things. I just tell you, I have to say it again, we're just not very bright when it comes to politics and political stuff that we do here. And part of that is because we compromise too much. And I'll get to that in a minute. There was an article today, an advocate article, Brandon, that said budget fix requires compromise. Shame on lawmakers who refuse to go there. Compromise is why we are in the position that we are in. If you're going to compromise and not do what's right, why compromise? So, anyway, I'll get to that in a few minutes. I want to go back to the U.S. News and World Report and proving my point that the state has just never really changed in all my years of watching this. I call it 25 years almost. And I actually started watching a little bit before that, but just say around 25 years. I can tell you that the governor is no different than the governor before him, and the governor before him, and the governor before him. And the reason I know nothing changes is because we don't, in the legislature, we've compromised so much that we just take it for granted. It's the way you do things. And that's what makes me mad. When somebody tells you it's just the way we do things. If you're doing them wrong, you got to change what you're doing. But it's the way we do things. It's the way we always done things. Yep. And then we find out why we stay last. The U.S. News and World Report, again, for the second year in a row, ranks Louisiana as the worst state in the country. Do I buy that? I don't buy it from the perspective that I love living here and I love the people here. Do I think we have a lot of good people? Yes. But I don't buy that. But I do buy into it that Baton Rouge is never going to fix or change the state because Baton Rouge, and when I say Baton Rouge, I'm not talking about the people, I'm talking about the legislature. The legislature and the governors that we have don't want anything to change. That's why nothing changes. Folks, all of us in our personal lives have had to change things to get different results in our lives. I mean, your job, It could be the way you handle your relationships. Whatever it is, the way you handle money, the way you handle people. The way your business is going. I guarantee you people can call and say, Moon, I was doing business a certain way and I wasn't having success. And I sat down with a financial planner. I sat down with somebody that knew more than I did, and they taught me this, and I changed my business. I mean, I know of spiritual changes where people change their heart to give their lives to Jesus Christ, and they totally change everything they do. That's what I mean by changing something. But my business from the time I started this program to now has evolved into something different than it started. Not the heart and soul of it, but I'm doing things different than I did 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago. But the one constant, there's a couple constants in Baton Rouge, but the one constant is that we don't change anything, and we keep expecting different results, and it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And the only other constant is John Hilario and Francis Thompson. John Hilario gets to be the big wig, nothing changes, nothing gets better, nothing improves. He gets to be the Senate president. He was the Speaker of the House. He's going to go back and be probably the Speaker of the House. Nothing changes, nothing changes. We change out governors. They don't change anything. They don't fix anything. They don't fix anything. And so I sit back and watch the legislature. I'm not watching, Brandon, get this for me. And I need to get him on whenever he can. I sit back and watch this, and I just get frustrated by it. The U.S. News and World Report named Louisiana worst state for the second year in a row in the latest ranking comparing health care, education, infrastructure, other aspects of day-to-day life across the country. The best states ranking, which draws on thousands of data points, not a few hundred, not a few, but thousands of data points, which measure how well states are performing for the citizens, place Louisiana near the bottom of the barrel in nearly every single category. Why? We don't change anything. We compromise. We just compromise. Compromising on a bad deal is a bad deal. I mean, Brandon, if I told you I would give you $5 every day, you'd probably say, I'll take it. But what if I told you the key was you got to give me 10? So every day I'm going to give you $5 and you're going to give me 10. Is that a good deal for you?
Not for
But
me.
what if you compromise and I take it down to $7.50? You're going to give me $5 and I'm going to give you $5. You're going to give me $7.50. You say, sold, I'll take that deal. You think that's a good deal? It was a compromise.
Still not a good
It's
deal.
a stupid deal. That's right. By the way, I keep this simple for people in Balkanville and all the liberals. But Brandon, that's a compromise in Baton Rouge. That's all they've done is compromise us the way. And there's an article, an editorial today, budget fix requires compromise. Shame on lawmakers who refuse to go there. But they want the good guys to compromise, giving up taxes, giving up principles. So here we are. We rank last in 2017 and last in 2018. We're 50th in opportunity. 50th. Healthcare, we're 47th. Folks, nobody has spent more on healthcare than we have in the last few years, especially with the Medicaid increase. Education, 49th. Why? We never change our education system. We have no goals. We don't change that. Economy, 44th. That's probably being nice. I wonder how bad the other 6 are, Brandon. We're 44th. Bel Air was yesterday in a speech to a business group and telling them how we coming along, we getting better. That's all I hear from every governor. And it never happens. When our economy roars, the gas and oil industry roars. When it doesn't roar, we don't roar. And they're not roaring. 50th in opportunity. 44th in infrastructure. Not because we didn't have money. That's where we're trying to get some more taxes, Griffon, for roads, and dumbasses like you don't want them. Well, because I want to see what we did with the money the first time we gave y'all money for roads. And why did y'all didn't fix the roads the first time we gave you money? And Brandon, I love this. Y'all gonna hold that against us for what they used to do? No, because y'all not, right now with Bel Edwards and Governor Jay Darden, they're not changing anything today. They're not going to change anything tomorrow. They didn't change anything yesterday. I got history on my side. Crime and corrections, 48th. 48th. How about this one, folks? Fiscal stability, 48th. You go to Edwin Edwards, he'll tell you we had a fiscal economy and fiscal budget that was very good. You go to Dave Treen, Buddy Romer, Mike Foster, Governor Blanco, Bobby Jindal, and Bel Edwards and Jay Darden co-governorship. Nothing's changed. Why didn't they rank us 40 spots up? They'll probably blame the House Republicans, Brandon. And by the way, all this time has been compromise. And I'm trying to tell y'all, the compromise is always about how can we grow state government without changing one thing. There's the problem. We're compromising with taxes and deals over here and projects, and we don't change anything. Bel Edwards is a failed governor already. Him and Jay Darden are failed governors. Nobody wanted Jay Darden to be governor, but he got to be governor by knife and vetter. By the way, I don't mean to bring that up, but then again, maybe I do. Quality of life, 42nd. Fiscal stability, 48th. All we do is, listen, folks, all we do, and all these governors do, and all these representatives do, is compromise. Compromise. And what solutions have they come up with? Nothing. The press keeps writing how the Stelly bill, that was the savior of the whole state, and we got rid of it, and that's why we're having problems. We had problems before Stelly. We're having problems since Stelly. We had problems before they knew who Vic Stelly was, before he was even a representative and nobody knew who the hell he was. We had problems. We had problems way before Vic Stelly came along. And they raised so many taxes and compromised so much. I'm sick of watching compromise. Because compromise is destroying us. Folks, all these things that we're bad in, we've never been good in any of those things. How come you think we're going to change if we compromise and give the state of Louisiana more money? Same problems. Same situation. From Edwards to Edwards and everybody in between. Unbelievable. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, your opportunity to be a voice. By the way, Sharon Hewitt sent it to Hewitt's statement on Tom Scheller sexual harassment allegations. This is Miss Hewitt. She said, I read detailed and documented accusation. It's real sad to read the charge about someone I've known for years, considered a friend. His admission of inappropriate relationship with a state worker that reported to him is indefensible. Everyone has a right to work in a safe environment, free from sexual harassment. The level of decency should exist whether you work in government administration or for the Secretary of State. I believe the public service should be held to higher standards regardless of party. Sadly, I reached the conclusion that Secretary Scheller can no longer be an effective leader or role model for our state. In the coming days, I hope that he will reach the same conclusion and consider stepping down. There's going to be a lot more heat on him to step down. The big mistake would be to replace him with Julie Stokes, who is a female version of Jay Darden, or you could put her as Nancy Pelosi in a Republican clothing. Either way you look at it, that's not who you want there. But I'm not going to get in the way. I mean, you apparently got problems there. All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. I just want to go back to this. The lawmakers, and when you read these stats, healthcare, education, economy, opportunity, infrastructure, crime and correction, fiscal stability, quality of life. There's one thing on here that would change up all this stuff, and if we would do something different and compromise on this. We never compromise on growing our economy. You ever notice that? We only compromise on taking taxes and growing government. But when are we going to compromise on growing our economy? When are we going to make this the friendliest business state in the country? When are we going to compromise on growing our economy and letting people keep more of their money? When are we going to compromise on making this state a friendly business state, friendly to families, where people want to live here and stay here and move here? Don't y'all think that would be a great compromise? Why do we always got to compromise on, is it a sales tax or is it an income tax? You know what I mean? Is it a 1/4% sales tax or is it, let's get rid of the deductions? Every compromise that's been made from Edwards to Edwards has always been to compromise you and me, our money, the middle class and the working class people's money, and businesses. That's who we compromise. And guess who fails? People fail and they move. Businesses fail and they move. The compromise has to be, why don't we compromise to make this a better state from a business standpoint, where people can make money and make a good living here? Why don't we compromise no more lawsuits on the oil companies? Why don't we just compromise that? No more lawsuits. Why don't we compromise that we're going to make this state like Texas, where these stupid, frivolous lawsuits that are stopping the oil and gas industry and making a move? Okay? I'm just think about that. Why don't we compromise that? No more lawsuits. Trial lawyers, we'll call you when we need you. All these people are going after the oil and gas industry, the goose that laid the golden egg, and other companies. Why don't we compromise on making this state the friendliest business state in the country? For once, let's worry about the people and the businesses that are here and quit worrying about state government. But you see, we've compromised, all right. We've compromised financially. We've compromised our businesses. We've compromised our families. We compromised the state of Louisiana, and that's why compromise in the way they're talking about is a joke. I don't understand not wanting this state to be the best it can be, but people are making a fortune off the government, and they got to keep taking your money. Why don't we compromise? Let's quit the out-migration so people can stay here, get an education, and work here. Why don't we compromise that? But we don't. But boy, we'll compromise sales taxes for income taxes. We'll compromise a pet project for a vote. See, that's what I was telling you. This is why I know I'm right. I've been looking at a guy like John Ilario who runs everything. Jay Darden and Ilario are running everything. Been running it for a while. And they're compromisers. That's why nothing gets fixed. We've been talking about health care in this state since I've been born. Not fixed. We've been talking about education. Not fixed. Economy. Not fixed. Opportunity. Not fixed. Infrastructure. Not fixed. Crime and corrections. Not fixed. Fiscal stability. Not fixed. Quality of life. Not fixed. But yet, we got Ilario and them running the show. John Bel Edwards acts like he's some kind of different governor, and he's not any different than the rest of them. The editorial and the Baton Rouge paper, we need to compromise. Compromise what? We're compromising the very life that people can enjoy here and live here because we got to make sure state government has plenty of money. State government has to have all the money. And me and you, we got to just good luck making a living. Best of luck to you guys out there. And you want to know why we voted worst state in the country again for the second year in a row? And we always at the bottom? It's because of compromising going on in Baton Rouge. I don't know how you feel. I'm tired of compromising my money, my time, my lifestyle to make sure somebody's going to be filthy rich in the state and the government's going to get to take the money. Bel Edwards and Jay Darden, the co-governorship ain't working. We tried one governor all those years, Brandon. Now we got two. That ain't working either. Folks, I'm right. You keep listening to these elected officials and people and the advocate and stuff and Jim Beam, you will be screwed up between the ears for a long time. We'll take a break. We'll be back. A lot more to come. Don't go nowhere. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Now, let me get to, it was editorial, advocate editorial, Lanny Keller. Lanny knows less about less every time I read his articles. He just takes his sides. He runs with ignorance. Okay. Budget fix requires compromise. It's so cool when we compromise the people's money. Shame on lawmakers who refuse to do that. He goes on to say compromise is a now dirty word, particularly in the bulky caucus of the House Republicans. They always House Republicans. Although the Senate has signed over and sent over the last 10 budgets, and it hadn't worked properly, and they're still bickering. But they're bickering about the House Republicans. Can you imagine, Brandon, your wife fussing at you for something I did? I bet you'd probably smile and say, that was Moon. That was Moon. So the Senate budget is what we passed for 10 straight years. And Lanny, who don't know this, by the way, you can watch in his writings. The dude ain't got a clue. He doesn't know, but he writes about something he doesn't know about. Compromise. He goes on to say, it's past time to strike a deal, although the lawmakers over the past 2 years doesn't inspire confidence that sanity at the Capitol will prevail. The state's faulty tax structure is the root of many problems, including chronic budget instability that hurt every state's institution, serving families rich and poor across the state. Hey, Lanny, look at the past. Hey, Lanny boy, look at the past. If you read your history, we've been going through this for a long time. Edwin Edwards talked about the same thing for many years. So did Mike Foster. So did Governor Blanco. So did Bobby Jindal. So did this governor. Lanny don't care about history, folks. Lanny wants to pop, and I'll get to that in a minute, what he's talking about. Now listen to this. There's only one talk show host that ever talks about this, although there are some news people that cover it, including here in Shreveport. The participants in the farce we call the Louisiana legislature already know all this. But talk radio commentary is no substitute for data-driven legislation. I wonder who they're talking about. No one should be in favor of even a short-term extension of his temporary sales tax, but that might be part of the final compromise. Well, Lanny, where were you when they did the sales tax on food and utilities? Of all things to tax, food and utilities, our legislature taxed food and utilities for 16 years as a temporary tax. Where's Lanny's articles? Where's Lanny's articles trying to stop that? He didn't. And then when they turned it into an income tax, well, Lanny was all happy with that, the Stelly bill. Shame on lawmakers who fail to do better because the options are there. Those who vote no on everything, by the way, nobody votes, Brandon, you realize nobody votes no on everything, are bringing the legislative body into greater disrepute and failing to address the critical problem facing the state government body. Once again, folks, what I tell you, nothing ever changes. Lanny's not talking about the business climate, is he? Lanny's not talking about me and you in the middle class. He's not talking about the jobs that are lost. No. Lanny talking about government. He don't know anything. He's getting, I guarantee you, Jay Darden sits down with him, and he gets all of his information from Jay Darden. By the way, I'm funny. He says Governor Bill Edwards has perhaps the least official experience in state office than any chief executive in years, and certain little and at all the way of administrative background. Boom, enter co-governor Jay Darden. But here's the big part of his piece. He couldn't help himself but to take a shot at the House Republicans, especially Taylor Barra. He takes a shot at Barra, calling him the banker, who has punted over and over again, who should know better than that. Okay? He goes after Taylor Barra, calling him not a leader. He calls him a non-leader. And it's amazing about that. You know why he's calling him a non-leader? Because he won't compromise and give up all of your money and my money and middle-class money and businesses' money to state government. That's why he's calling no leader. I call someone that's a no leader who has to bring in a guy who got, slaughtered in the governor's race, Jay Darden. Slaughtered in the governor's race, and yet he becomes the co-governor. Where's the leadership on that? You just said Bill Edwards is the most least qualified person to ever be governor. He says that Lanny says the speaker is too weak to lead. He's only strong enough to promise to lead and then pull an FDR. Did Edwards need to say from now on, Taylor, we deal in writing? You know why, Lanny, the governor won't deal in writing? Because he speak with forketh tongue. He's not going to deal in writing, Lanny. He's a politician, for God's sakes. Bill Edwards doesn't want to deal in writing. All Bill Edwards wants to do is be the governor. Let Jay and them run everything. He'd be the governor for two more years, I think, then he's done. If he gets it 4 more years, then he'd be the governor for 6 years. You know, folks, I watch these people in the press. They what do they do? Shoot talk radio now. And I know who they're shooting now. We all know there's nobody else. I go to New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and I'm talking about this stuff. It's amazing. Shoot talk radio down, shoot the Speaker of the House down, shoot the House Republicans down, shoot businesses down, shoot the private sector down. These are the people that are writing articles that's being printed in the Advocate, and they're not getting information that you get. Lanny Keller doesn't have a clue. Lanny Keller's listening to Jay Darden. He's the one that, Brandon, he wrote a story. I can go pull it if you want to. He wrote a story that for $237,500 for Jay Darden, we were getting a bargain. We were getting a bargain because the man was so smart. Jay Darden would have never made it in the real world. He would have never made it in the private sector. If he wanted to make it in the private sector, he would have been out there making it. They used to tell me all the time, but I don't know if it was under Jindal or Mike Foster, well, you want to get good people, you got to pay them. You know what they would say, Brandon, you know what kind of money they would make in the private sector? And I'd go, no, But I would sure love to find out about him going in the private sector. Folks, this is what we're fighting. We're fighting a leftist media that wants to keep compromising your money, your life, your kids, the businesses you work for. That's all any of them want. This stuff has been going on from Edwards to Edwards, from Edwin to Bell. It's going to keep going on because in Baton Rouge, they're not negotiating to get big businesses in here and to grow the businesses that are already here. That's not what they're negotiating. They're negotiating how much money they can take out of the pockets of the people who work here. They're negotiating your money. They're not negotiating anything else. They're negotiating your money and my money. They're negotiating our lifestyle. They're negotiating our jobs. They're negotiating our kids. They're out-migrating again. Why? Because we got a legislature that wants to negotiate with our money, our livelihood, our quality of life. And I just gave you the stats, proving once again they're not changing anything in Baton Rouge, folks. And it ain't the House Republicans that are voting right at all. Jandal, Bell Edwards, what's the difference? Throw the governor up there. They're not changing anything. They're not negotiating for the state to be better. They're not compromising the state to be better. They're compromising to keep everything the same, which is a failure. We'll take a break. Be right back. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline looking out for the working class people and businesses in the state on a daily basis. As I watch the press and the governor and the lawmakers, some lawmakers trying to see how much they can get out of your pockets on a daily basis. See, you got to remember something. The great one, the magician, the grown up in the room, hadn't got hold of the budget yet. And whatever the House sends them, you can book old Johnny Boy sitting over there to extend more money out of us. Watch and see if I'm wrong, folks. John Alario will get the Senate along with Republicans that helped him get to become the Senate president. And the budget that has been passed has been sitting over there with old Johnny Boy for 10 years. And old Johnny Boy is going to send that puppy back with a lot more tax money in it. Now, remember, you heard it here first. That's what happens. And that's why I kind of get sick of reading a Lanny Keller piece and a Jim Beam piece and all these guys, because they're not fair. They don't even know what they're talking about anymore. They have no accuracy in what they're talking about. Alario hadn't touched the budget yet, folks. Whatever comes back from Johnny Boy, and him and Jay Darden work it out, and they go tell the governor, then that's what they're going to do. Yeah, and the problem is we got a group of weak, the Gang of Eight, and a group of these weak Republicans that will vote with Democrats every time, never bat an eye. It's just frustrating, folks. We see us last. We don't need to be last. We need to do something different. We can do something different, and we don't do anything different. We're talking about the same things. I've been doing this for 25 years. We've got the same problems. If you got the same problems, it means you never fix the problem. If the starter in your car doesn't work, putting gas in the engine is not going to help it. If the starter of your car doesn't work, getting 4 new tires, Brandon, is not going to help your car. Changing the oil won't help it. And that's what we do in the legislature. We don't deal with the problem. We fix everything on the side. You know, we got a car. Look at my good car there, Brandon. You don't know it don't run, but man, look at them new tires. And, man, you got it washed for a change. And, man, to tell you what I did to it, and you say, wow. I still have the same problem at the end of the day. And that's what they're doing in Baton Rouge. If you can't fix a problem unless you deal with the problem. We don't deal with the problems. And the problem is we have smashed our business community in this country, in this state. Yeah, there's some big companies getting breaks, but the average guy, we've smashed them. We have taken too much money out of the money we make, which we don't make as much money as a lot of states. That's just a fact, folks. And I'm fighting for you because they're not trying to fix one thing. All they doing is, we need to compromise. We've been compromising for 40 years with no change in direction at all. Luke in Lafayette. How you doing, Luke?
Hey, Moon, doing pretty good in yourself.
Doing fine, sir.
Well, we could all be doing better, couldn't we?
I guess you could, but I mean, I take it a day at a time, my brother, and today's a good day so far.
I know, but it's becoming tough to do it well in this state. Let me talk to you about some other things. We're talking about our special session and all that, but yesterday I was watching the news and looking at St. Landry Parish. They were passing or trying to propose some new tax millages on property over there. I think it was like one for 11.5, another one for 12.5, going to education and the schools and so forth. The citizens were meeting about that. For everyone's knowledge, if they go to the Louisiana Association of Tax Administrators, you will see the sales tax rates in all of the municipalities and districts throughout the state. It's a very good app. I use it almost on a daily basis because I work throughout the state.
Sure.
And I have to remit sales taxes to those jurisdictions and districts.
Sure.
In St. Landry Parish, the highest rate there is 12.55, and that is in 2 districts there.
Are you saying sales tax?
Sales tax, yes, sir.
12.55. Woo!
I will forward you this app. I use it on, like I said, I use it on a daily basis. Now, this is the way I look at it. Okay, you are probably or might be a tithe payer at your church. You don't need to respond to that. That's a private thing. The Lord only asked for 10%, and look what the local municipality is asking for. 12.55, plus they want to throw more millages on these people that are getting taxed to death, plus their state legislature is doing what they're doing over there. And what it's doing, Moon, is it's punishing the producers of the state. Because when they do a millage like that, well, you've got a $75,000 exemption right there for homestead. So, the majority of the state, the majority of the districts over there in St. Landry, the homeowners don't really experience that.
Yep.
But those that do have homes over that value, they get punished.
Well, no, but if you look at what Baton Rouge is doing too, it's punishing the movers and the shakers. And that's why I read all these stats and putting this last again. I've been sitting there 25 years almost. Healthcare, education, economy, opportunity, infrastructure, crime, fiscal stability, quality of life. All that's been bad for 25 years. Nobody's changing, but we've compromised. And they're not in Baton Rouge saying, you know what? How can we make this state a friendly state? So friendly business state, so people will have jobs. Number one, that's number one. And number two, we will have a tax structure that's so low, but it's so fair and it's so across the board that when companies come here, we don't have to buy them anymore. They just come here and know, hey, this is a great state to do business. They're not working on that. They're not.
Well, you mentioned the movers and the shakers. The movers and the shakers tend to be employers, and that's who's getting punished. And the employers, once they decide, you know what, it's time to bail out and relocate and start a business somewhere else.
But it's happening.
And we'll be like they're talking about. The boys were talking about that in their show yesterday afternoon about the homeless in New Orleans, the homeless in the major cities in California, and what type of problem that is. That's in our near future.
Well, it is, because I told you we're out migrating the best and brightest. The same problems that existed 25 to 40 years ago exist today. We got people. We got them
with tops too.
I know.
Then we're sending them out.
Yeah, then we got people like Lanny Keller and them, right? It's compromise that go after the Speaker of the House because he won't give in on what? He didn't want to give in on taxes to give state government, and to get the tax dollars, he's got to take it from businesses and people at work. That's the only two group of people he can take it from, and they're taking it. And they're not going to fix the problem. The problem's been there for a long, long time. And all these problems I'm talking about now were there 25 years ago when I started, and it's still there. This is a failed governor, him and Jay Darden. Co-governorship is just as bad as one. And the future shows us that we're going to keep doing the same thing. And I don't understand that. I don't understand any reasonable person would want to do what we've been doing expecting different results. It's not going to happen.
You know what I've discovered, too? My dog at my house, he will eat as long as I feed him. You realize that?
Oh, yeah. He'll eat as much as you feed him, too.
Even when he's full, if I put something in front of him that's tasty, he's going to eat it. He will eat even though he is full. And that's what our government is like.
Yeah. Well,
they're full, but they still want to eat. They want to gorge.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
All right, brother, I got to get back to work so I can cover my.
You better. Only people ought to be calling is government people, because we need everybody else producing the money so they can have a job. Thanks for the call, appreciate it.
All right, brother.
I bet somebody in government goes, yeah, you. I do get this every now and then. Somebody goes, I know what you think of government workers. I don't think nothing bad or good. I have family members that are government workers. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the bureaucrats. I'm talking about the ones in Baton Rouge. The governor and the rest of them, and the press continues to say compromise. Man, let me tell you something. John Hilario get this budget. Wait till those taxes come back. Compromise. Compromise what? Your principles? Compromise our state? Compromise your money? All right, we got to go. We'll take a break. Be back. More of the Moon Griffon Show right after this. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson Has It hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, it's your opportunity to be a voice. All righty. By the way, Ray, you been seeing that pipeline that's supposed to be up and running?
Bayou Bridge pipeline.
Yeah, and all we got is lawsuits after lawsuits after lawsuits. Mm-hmm. And all the pipelines that are already running all over the basin and everything. And all it is one more that's going to provide good work and good jobs for people. And then we got the courts tying it up. There goes lawsuits again. Lawsuit happy Louisiana, shutting down progress, shutting down business again. I'm amazed at why they keep doing this. They keep shutting down business in this state.
So we have an interview that we are now scheduling as we speak for Friday.
Are we?
On this topic, yes.
Okay, good.
As a matter of fact, it will be Trump Transition Advisor on Transportation and former COO, Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, Brigham McGowan. So,
all right, 844-766-6607. Hickson Has It hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Let's go to the phone line. Gus Rance joins us. Gus, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Moon. How you doing?
By the way, when are you coming in and doing an hour with me? I mean, a show, not an hour, a whole show.
That's right. We're doing the whole show.
The whole show.
And almost as importantly, you said you're going to take me to Shucks.
Oh, no. It's a done deal. We have three of y'all. You, I got another gentleman here, and then I got two gentlemen out of Monroe, and I like to get the process mold. I'm waiting for everybody to call in. Maybe I need to be calling y'all.
Well, no, I've been
Brandon's
always on vacation, so I'm taking a hold of him. You know?
Well, I love this call.
I'm sure you do.
Finally,
man.
somebody to back that dude up that I got as a producer. Everybody backs me up. But anyway, no, we need to know because we need to get everybody on and come through and have some fun for a couple hours. And we said we're going to do this. But Gus is one of the guys that gave, I think, $1,000 when they were doing the deal with what was it, Brandon? It's the hospital in
St. Jude.
St. Jude, that's it. So I do appreciate it, man.
Well, certainly that was easy. I get to spend time with you and help out St. Jude. That was easy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right.
Hey, I'm calling because I've been listening to these Ted James sound bites and the Black Caucus sound bites, and it just I get so tired of the sloganeering that we hear from the left. And this, and look, you know as well as anybody, I'm not a tax fan. I'm less taxes is better. But they always love to call these sales tax issues regressive tax and the trickle down economics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would like to one time see a whiteboard example of how this somehow unfairly punishes poor people. If anything, it unfairly punishes the middle class. because we have so many exceptions to what these taxes would be applied to. You know, if you're paying your rent, your car note, food, and saving money, you literally have paid no tax. I don't understand how that somehow is penal to those who are making less money. Making less money is a separate issue. You can't combine it, and use the statistics that work in your favor in a vacuum. And that's, I just, I was running some numbers because I thought to myself, well, my gosh, is this really that penal? Well, no. I mean, if you have $10,000 extra at the end of the year, if you make $30,000, let's say, and you pay your rent, your car, your food, your family, and you have to pay 1% in sales tax, you paid $100 to be a Louisiana state citizen and a United States citizen, because you basically have paid almost no tax any other way. Mm-hmm. That, to me, does not seem overly penal to belong to the country club we call the United States of America. But they want to talk about percentages of income. They don't want to talk about raw dollars.
No,
and I think that's just very misleading.
I agree. I think you're right on the money. I think what you're saying is right on the money. I mean, you gotta have skin in the game. Now, look, if you're a poor person and you're getting health care for free, you're getting your food stamps for free, you got a free cell phone, you got subsidized housing, you're getting a check, you can't pay nothing. You mean to tell me you can't pay nothing? And I think that's the point you're making.
We're a generous Christian society, but we don't want to be taken for fools either. And I feel like we're basically what they're saying is that the Black Caucus and a lot of those on the left, they just view taxes as a redistribution of wealth. So just say that. That's your belief. I believe that taxes are a way to pay for necessary government functions, and unfortunately a lot of unnecessary government functions.
Yeah.
That's a dichotomy of views on taxation, and that's, I think, where the bigger problem lies between ideologies these days.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But no, I think your point's well taken. I think you're right on the money. I think it's a shame. It's a sin and a shame that, more people, for some reason, don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's a shame.
I just think that the demonizing and demagoguery sometimes that we have of other people and spending other people's money, it's really easy to attack the guy behind the tree, as the old, slogan used to go. And I think we got to sometimes look in the mirror and remind ourselves, what's right is right and what's fair is fair.
No doubt about it.
Just wanted to throw my 2 cents in on that.
Right. Well, let us know when you're ready.
Will do. I'll let you know.
Thank you very much. All right, let's jump gears, folks. We have Mr. Eric Bolling on with us, and a best-selling author and former Fox News host. Eric is now sharing his story on the loss of his son to the opioid epidemic. Eric, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good and doing well, best I can possibly be given the circumstances.
How long ago did you lose your son, Eric?
6 months ago, Moon. Less than 6 months ago. It was September 8th, and my wife and I had just gone out to dinner. And on the way home from dinner, she was driving. I was in the passenger seat. About 10:30 at night, I got that phone call that you just don't want to ever. I mean, you just know you have that gut. And I answered the phone. A young man was panicky, telling me, "Mr. Bolling, call Kayla right away." Kayla was a young lady, my son, who was a sophomore, 2 weeks into his sophomore year at University of Colorado, Boulder, and he was dating her a little bit on and off. Or what I had known about her, but she was crying when she answered the phone. And as a parent, I just, for some reason, my mind went right to it. I said, "Kayla, is he alive?" And she said no. And it was my world and my wife's world dramatically changed from that moment. My wife heard the conversation, fell out into the roadway. She pulled over, fell out into the roadway, was crying on the road, and I had to pick her up and gather her up, and we sat on the curb for a while and cried, and we just fell into a pretty deep funk at that moment, and we just try to figure life out since. But I've realized that was 6 months ago, but it feels like it happened last night.
Sure.
And my calling now is to create awareness on what happened. He had taken what was a Xanax that he bought from like millions of other young college students. He bought from someone else on campus. Turned out to be a Xanax that wasn't a prescriptive Xanax. It was a fake Xanax that came over, likely from China, because it had fentanyl in it. The fentanyl mixed with the Xanax is what killed him.
I know our Attorney General has been really on the case of trying to stop some of the stuff that's going on. Apparently, and I'm just asking, Eric, I got a 30, a 28. I got a special need 21, and we got her basically in the custody most of the time with us. But I do have a 16-year-old son that's just a freshman in school, and it worries me on the stuff they can get in, because I think what you're talking about, this is an over-the-counter deal, or is it an over-the-counter deal where people are getting this?
It's even worse than that.
Yes, sir.
It's even worse than that, Mo.
Hold up, Eric, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Okay, we lost you there for a minute. I'm sorry. You said it's even worse, and I lost you.
I had. It's not that. I just had a commercial on my. Okay, there we go. So it's even worse than that, Moon. It's that. It's both. It's prescriptive stuff that kids are taking from their parents, or it's street drugs. They're so cheap now. Some of these things are $5 a tablet, and they're getting high from $5 a tablet, and they're turning to that instead of marijuana or cocaine even. And the stuff that's $5 per tablet's coming from China or coming from Mexico through the borders, either southern or northern border, and it's cheap, and there's plenty of it, and so they're using it, and they don't know what's in it, and a lot of times the Chinese are mixing fentanyl with whatever they're selling, whether it's OxyContin or Xanax, and the fentanyl is so powerful, 50 to 100 times more powerful than heroin, and 50 to 100 times more powerful than even morphine, and it's killing kids. 175 people per day in America die from overdoses.
Wow.
175 per day.
Wow.
That means more than car accidents, more than gun violence. You're more likely to die from an accidental overdose than any other way to die accidentally in America.
Well, that in itself is incredible. And yet we focus on gun violence a lot of times. Excuse me. This is, and by the way, with people like yourself, because people know who you are, Eric. They know who you are all over the country, and it hit home to someone that somebody's used to seeing. It really hits home with people like me, who I'm kind of naive with it because it hadn't hit home yet. You know what I'm saying? It just hadn't hit home.
Let me take it from there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Really, you're touching on something that's so important because, when I first stepped out, I put it up on my Twitter page that my son had passed away, and there was an overwhelming response from parents, from young people saying, I'm worried about my brother and my sister, or parents saying, I'm worried about my son or daughter. And I said, did you have to talk with them about it? Well, no. So for a long time, this epidemic has been kind of a badge of dishonor. It had a scourge, it had a stain to it, and people didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to talk to their friends about it. Frankly, they were afraid to talk to their kids about it. There's this thing called not my kid syndrome, and it's prevalent in America, and we got to stop it because it's deadly. Parents think that because they have an A student, she's an A student, she's really popular, or he's the quarterback on the football team, or a goalie on the soccer team. He would never get involved in that, or she would never get involved in that, and they're dying just as rapidly as everyone else's kid is dying. I can't tell you how many people have said, I just never thought my kid, they're a perfect student, and now they're gone. In tears at CPAC with me, and moms crying saying, I lost my son 3 weeks ago, never saw it coming. Well, did you have to talk with them? Did you sit down and tell them that people, when you put a pill in your mouth, it could be a death sentence waiting just hours away? You got to have, every kid is susceptible. 16 is not too young. 15 is not too young. Middle school, these opioids are hitting middle schools now. You got to get out there and talk to your kids about this stuff.
Yeah. Now, let me ask a question. Is most of this stuff bought just kind of in the open market from friends or people that sell it? Or is any of this stuff bought over the counter that you got to be careful with?
No, there's nothing I know that and I don't, unfortunately, I'm an unwanted expert lately of what this is, but I think what's most importantly, it's the stuff that's non-prescriptive that's being made. You can buy a pill press for $200, and these dealers are buying pill presses and putting whatever the hell they want in these pills. It's the illegal stuff, but it's also the legit stuff. The OxyContin. Purdue Pharmaceutical last week said they took a victory lap. They patted themselves on the back for cutting their sales force in half for selling OxyContin. Now let me ask you something. That sounds good, right? You're a consumer. You go, okay, good. But my question is, why does a pill manufacturer need to have a sales force? Shouldn't the doctors tell them what they need? Mm-hmm. Should they be telling the doctors how many pills they want? Senator Manchin in West Virginia has told this story many times about there's a town in West Virginia, 1,000 people in the town. 9 million legal pills were sent to this town. 9 million.
Wow.
Now, those people in that town aren't taking 9 million pills. What they're doing is they're buying these pills legally through distributors or however they're getting their hands on them, and then they're dealing them. They're sending them around the country. Our kids are dying from overdoses. So we need a lot more controls on both the legal stuff and the illegal stuff.
I'm so sorry to hear this. Eric, do you have a few more minutes?
I do.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a 3 or 4 minute break, come back and wrap up with you in 5 minutes, because what I want you to do I think you did a great job of telling people like me, go talk to your kids. Now, we try to anyway. But I think there's a big message from this that I know you want people to hear, and I'll come back and talk to you about that in just a second. Eric Bolling, of course, New York Times best-selling author, Fox News guy, and, of course, on a program with us, unfortunately lost a kid to this opioid craziness that's going around. We'll talk to him when we get back a few more minutes. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Mr. Eric Bolling, my special guest, New York Times bestseller, author, Fox News. I say contributor, but he's been big with Fox for many, many years. Unfortunately, lost a son to this terrible opioid problem that we have. And, hey, Eric, a couple quick things. I want to get one main thing from you, but I am happy to see, like in states like us, our Attorney General Jeff Landry is really jumping on this. I see the President, Sessions, is launching a task force. In other words, they talk as big pharmacy, but they actually going to go out and start really getting after what's going on in this thing. And I got to believe a person like you would welcome both of those in the state and in the federal government, trying to figure out what's going on and stop this craziness.
I do, sir. You have a very good Attorney General. Jeff Landry's a good man there. And I'm headed to the White House tomorrow as a citizen, not as someone who is representing any group or affiliation or anything, or even the White House for that matter. I've personal friends with President Trump, and he's been amazing. He's called me into the Oval Office. We've spoken. He's called me several times after my son passed, and I've used that opportunity to talk to him about the opioid issue, and he's very in tune to it. So tomorrow there's an opioid summit at the White House. President Trump will participate. Melania Trump will participate. AG Sessions, as you mentioned, will participate, as well as many cabinet members will be there. And we're going to all talk about what they're doing, what their response to the crisis is, and it really is a crisis, an epidemic sweeping the country, and what we can do further. Think of for 1 second if 64,000 people last year died from either something in the water or the food supply. We would be spending every possible resource on it to fix it. The difference here is, because it's sometimes voluntary, sometimes involuntary, there's not that much urgency to it. But I will tell you, it's probably the number one thing on young people's minds. I did a speech at CPAC on this, and I didn't expect much of it's not one of those topics, Russia or immigration, that are guns that get a lot of people fired up, I didn't think. The room was packed. It was the main stage at CPAC. The room was packed. I can't tell you how many young people after that speech came up to me and said, I'm very worried about this. I know my best friend died, or my brother died, or my sister's.
Well, I'll tell you what, Eric,
people care.
I've been reading about this, and like I said, I got a 16-year-old, and I'm not going to say you're scaring the hell out of me, but you're making me make sure that we go around back and revisit this too, as we visit all the other things that we got to deal with 16. But that was the big question I had for you. Okay, you got the floor of my program. What do you tell everybody that has young kids or friends or family members with kids? We all know young people. We all know a lot of them. What's your message that you want to tell them right now so we can avoid this? I want to know from you, because you know better than anybody.
I want to be credited with this term because it means a lot to me, because I'm very familiar with it now. It's not my kid syndrome, where you think your kid is not going to be touched by the opioid epidemic, because your kid will. God willing, your kid is smart enough and strong enough to walk away from it, but it's almost 100% coverage on the country. Young people are being brushed with this opioid. They're going to touch it. They're going to be close to it, and we need to educate parents that they need to have these discussions. The other thing is... Hold up.
You know what I'm going to have to do? I hate to do this to you. I got a hard break. Can you hold 4 more minutes or whatever, and let me let you come back and give the big message?
You got it.
Okay, Eric, thank you so much. I forgot this was a hard break, brother. And let me get out of here, come back, and I'm going to let you come right back, and I want people to listen. Call your friends, let them know. This guy's getting ready to lay some words of wisdom on us, and we need to listen to it. We'll take a break, be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. By the way, we've been watching the Capitol Hill. I'm going to call it Remembering Reverend Billy Graham. And so the president and his wife are now, he's up to the reef and laying their hands on the reef. So anyway, we've been checking that out. All right. Let's jump gears back to Mr. Eric Bolling, of course, New York Times best-selling author, Fox News. And unfortunately, he's here to tell us a story, but he's here to also help us now. He went through a tough situation, him and his bride and family members, losing his son to opioid, which has been we're hearing more and more about it every day, and Eric is telling our story. Eric, what is the big message you want to send to people everybody? I mean, everybody has a friend, everybody has kids. I have kids that have kids. This can kill somebody old to young dealing with opioid. What would be the big message that I want to hear you say, so I will listen to you and say, you know what, I better be aware of this?
Well, first of all, just for everyone to understand, I mean, since this has happened, it's only a few months, people have congregated at my Twitter account just to give stories or take information. So please, if you know someone or you have a story, if you need help, just come over to Eric Bolling on Twitter, and it's become a clearinghouse for the opioid crisis, reluctantly and unwittingly, but it is. Okay, so there's a couple of things that, as I said, as a parent, not my kid syndrome. It's deadly. If you think your kid is not going to be touched by opioids, you're foolish, and you're going to be in trouble if you don't have the conversation, because it's killing people who have straight A students, who have the star athlete.
Okay, Eric, we lost you again.
You hear me?
I got you now.
Okay, I said my point is that your child will come across an opioid at some point, and you want to have that discussion with him or her before that happens. Let them know that you put something in your mouth, it could be the last time you wake up. It's that deadly. And the other thing is, I think what we also need to realize as parents is, if you see a marked change, or even as a friend to someone you're concerned about, if you see a marked change in personality, dramatic change quickly, it's a good indication. Now, I had just gone out to Denver, to Boulder, to see my son on Father's Day, middle of June. We had dinner together. We had just the greatest time. There's no indication his grades were good. Everything was good. He had stayed in Boulder for the summer, and over the next couple of weeks, they have mini semesters at that school, and he went from very, very well, good grades, to all of a sudden he wasn't even attending class anymore. And then there was a dramatic shift. About 3 weeks prior to his death, he didn't want to take my call anymore. He was hanging out with some other people. It was very dramatic, and it was very quick. And I wrote it off as, okay, so he's getting, he's just moving on. He's growing up a little bit. It's not. It was a dramatic shift that may have been that he was getting involved with some things that I didn't realize, didn't know. And so as a parent, look for those signs. Look for any change in friends, any change in personality, any change in money habits. These are good indications, but certainly have the conversation, and don't be afraid to, and don't be afraid to. And my son told me in June, he said, I got this, Dad. I had the conversation about hard drugs. I got this, Dad. I accepted that, and I wish to God I hadn't.
Wow. Well, it's I'm sorry you had to go through that, my friend, and everybody else that's gone through it. And we all pray that we don't go through that, but like you said, you better at least be having the conversations and tracking what's going on. And I think I think you're a great voice.
More than once.
I know, but I think you're a great voice, because that's how the good Lord uses people. You go through it, and then you become a voice, hoping other people don't go through it. You're trying to reach out to people.
That's all I aim for, Moon. I'm not looking for anything else other than saving a few parents to having to deal with burying a child. I mean, I can't tell you how difficult it is to go talk to a coroner about your only child. So,
yeah.
God bless you guys.
That's awful tough. Listen, thank you for your courage and your wife. Thank y'all for what y'all trying to do. I hope you get a chance to visit with the president as well. And I know from his level, and I know the attorney generals like Jeff Landry are fighting to do something about this. And I'm glad you're out there, because it takes a lot of guts and courage to do what you and your bride's doing. And from the Moon Griffon Show and our audience, we wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Eric Bolling. Thank you, Eric. By the way, if you go, he said you can check him out on Twitter as well. That's how they get stories and things like that. And people have known him. I didn't realize he had lost a son like that. Once again, you got to bear down and go back to your kids and go, okay, we got to have a talk. You know what I'm saying? And you may not like to have the talk, but you have no choice. All right. Is this James in West Monroe? I got it right here. James, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, Moon. I don't generally call talk shows. I listen to you on a regular basis, but you've been talking about before. You had your last guest.
Yeah.
About the taxes and why our roads aren't built right and done right and all this good stuff. And
yes, sir.
How we're spending too much money. I just passed the Louisiana Department of Transportation crew in West Monroe. There was 13 men there, 3 of them working, and they were holding road signs.
Wow. I get them. I get those stories all the time. I do. I really do. I get those stories all the time about seeing so many people there, but not many people working. Because I think when you go by, you want to see people getting after it. and that ain't what you saw.
Okay. Well, look, keep up the good work, man. And I appreciate the last guest you had on. Was really good.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. He just woke me up. David in Shreveport. How you doing, David?
I'm fine, Moon. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, sir. Good to hear from you.
Thank you. I take a little bit of an exception to the characterization of the opioid epidemic. I'm under the care of a pain doctor, and I've been under his care for about 10 years. I have never once asked him to go up on my dose. I use it only when I'm in pain, which is, quite often. But I think that most people, the way it's being reported to the press, associate it with prescription pills and things of that nature. I talked to my pain doctor about it. He said, there's definitely an opioid epidemic. He said, but it has to be mainly with heroin, illegal class 1 drugs. He said, prescription drugs, he said, I have never had anybody overdose from it.
Well, hold up just a second now. I asked Eric specifically about over-the-counter, and he said what he's talking about has nothing to do with over-the-counter stuff or your doctor. What he's talking about doing is stuff that's hitting the streets. What did he say, Brandon? From China and from somewhere else hitting the streets, and that's what he was talking about specifically. So he was not talking about you and your doctor. Yeah, he wasn't talking about something you bought over the counter. He was talking about the stuff that's out there illegal that somebody's saying, hey, I'll take this. And so he was not talking about your specific case. He was talking about what happened with his son.
And I understand that.
Yeah, he was not talking about what you're talking about is totally different than what he's talking about. I just want to make sure me and you are on the same page on this.
I think we're on the same page. But the thing is, I think the general impression by most of the public out there is that these drugs that are prescribed by legitimate doctors are like a gateway to someone becoming addictive and
well, let me ask you a question. They have been times where some doctors have overprescribed and people have gotten hooked on stuff. That's a fact. That has happened. Now, I'm not pointing out any doctors in particular, but that has happened before too.
Well, what I'm afraid of, the last time I went to my doctor was the day before yesterday, and he kind of threw a curveball at me. He said, I want to ask you, he says, do you believe that you could do with less medication than what you're on right now? And I thought, well, I kind of gave him this funny look, and I said, well, I think that'd be more or less your call. But, no, he said, well, David, he says, I'm being forced to ask this question now. Mm-hmm. And what I don't want, what I'm afraid of is that in the press, what I see anyway on the main networks is that it's almost like they're trying to make having to rely on opioids as a bad thing. Being addicted to them is a bad thing. But having to rely on them necessarily isn't.
Well, I'm just looking at the bad side of what this gentleman was talking about.
Well,
okay, and that's I'm just being real honest with you. I'm just looking at the back side of that. Anyway, I got to go. I got to take a break. Thanks for the call. By the way, Dick's Sporting Goods will stop selling assault-style rifles. No clue. But everybody likes to be political. We will take a break. We will be back. Your calls are welcome. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. We'll be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. That's funny. Brandon takes a vacation in the last segment of the program.
I think he'll be right back.
He took a vacation in the last segment of the program.
It's all my fault, so you can fuss at me.
That's all right, Bernie. I'm not going to do that because I know you might fuss back. All right, let's go to phone lines. We have line 1, Mark in West Monroe. How you doing, Mark?
Is this Mark?
I mean, line 2. How you doing, Mark? It's not Mark?
Let's see. Yep, there he should be there.
Mark, are you there?
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. You're on there.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I hear you now.
All right. I didn't get to hear the end of the last caller that called and said that he went to the pain clinic for his medicine and what his doctors told him, because I tried to call in at the same time he called in. I'm kind of in the same boat he's in. I've had 8 back operations. Been having to take pain medicine for the last 12, 14 years. I've got a neurostimulator implanted in my back, and I still have to take pain medicine on top of that. But I got cut off last month because the government told my primary care doctor that he can no longer write me a prescription for more than 50 milligrams of pain medicine, which is not enough to do me for more than a week, maybe.
Yes,
you
sir.
know. So I'm driving 200 miles today to go to my pain doctor that signed off on me 10 years ago, saying that he had done all that he could do for me, and he signed off on me to go to my primary care doctor. But now our government's got into our primary care physicians, and they can't take care of us. So they've kicked us out and made us go to a pain clinic. And in my case, I can't go to a new pain clinic because they're all full.
Wow.
So here I've moved from Arkansas to Louisiana. So I'm having to drive 210 miles to Maumelle, Arkansas.
Wow.
To go to my old pain doctor. So there's not a good fix in any of this. And yes, I know about the opioid epidemic. I lost my second wife to an overdose, so I know about it. You know, she was a registered nurse, and you know she got hooked on prescription drugs.
Yeah, that's tough.
So I know about it. But I'm very, very careful with my medicine. I keep it locked up. I keep it to where nobody can get to it.
Yeah, my dad lived in his last, God have mercy, 5 to 10 years. He had taken pain pills off and on. Now my mama was a registered nurse, and she was very careful. She hated to give him too much. Also, my daddy was just tough as nails. He could take a little less than the average person, but they had to deal with pain medicine and pain care. I'm gonna say he had bad back. He had operations like you did. He had bad back and all that. But Mom, because she was a nurse, Dad lived a long time with pain, a long time. And I'm not there yet. I don't understand it all. I know what Bolling was talking about on the streets, people, these young kids taking this stuff is a little different than what you guys are talking about. You know, I'm not saying it's totally different. I'm not saying it's totally different, but it's a little difference in the fact he was talking about the stuff hitting the streets coming from other countries.
Yeah. But our government is getting into every aspect of our life, and it's getting a little irritating.
You know what's funny about it? The government doesn't know anything about anything. I always say this. If you hear my program, they get elected. We elect people into a state or federal or local community, and in 2 months, them suckers are smarter than God.
There's no common sense.
Yeah, smarter than God.
There's no common sense left.
Yeah.
There is no common sense left in any part of our government.
Yeah.
It goes overboard on everything. No common sense whatsoever. I'll never vote for another another Democrat.
Yeah. All right, brother. Let me run, man. Thank you very much. By the way, I know some pretty dumb Republicans too that go down to the legislature in a special session and come back and tell you, "We got them, y'all." All right, let's go. We got Richie in West Monroe. How you doing, Richie?
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Doing fine, sir.
I'd like to come at this from a little different angle,
Sure.
if I may.
Yes, sir.
I know opioids are good, and just like the last man that was talking, there are people that do need pain medication. But I say this as an ex-drug dealer that used to deal drugs and don't know more, been clean for 18 years. But opioids are so easy to get, and I don't hear nobody trying to address that problem.
Well, that's what if you heard Eric Bolling, who was on with us earlier, he talked about that easy access in the streets. That was his big focus.
I'm not saying all doctors are bad, but it's so easy to walk in a doctor's office and say, my dog died and I can't sleep at night, and they will write you a prescription. Sometimes they'll even ask you what you want and write you a prescription, and that part needs to be addressed, how accessible they are, how easy it is to get them. I know that Adderall is a very popular drug today. A lot of people get them for their kids, but then they turn around and sell them because they're very profitable.
Say, man, you talking, and you say you're a former drug dealer, you're talking way over my head, man. I'm married to a nurse, and she is very careful about drugs and all that stuff. I've seen people write us prescriptions. It may have been us, Maddie, whatever, and she said, we're not taking that. We'll have it filled, and said, we're not taking that. We just don't, we're going to see if we can do without that, and then we won't take the drug. And then if we don't take the drug and everything gets better, she will dispose of them things quickly. And I can promise you, nobody can use them where she disposes them.
Well, and in the same case, a lot of people will get those scripts and they don't take them, but they're very profitable to sell. People pay high dollar for prescription pills.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Appreciate the call.
Anyway, thank you very much.
No, thanks for your info. We appreciate it. All right. Let's rock and roll, Brandon. We got Joel on the road. Joel, how you doing? Is this Joe Robideau? Joe, are you there? I don't have him. Joe, are you with me? All right, we'll move on, Brandon. Brandon's laughing, going, you told him Joe Robideau. He hung up.
I don't know what happened.
Maybe
there.
that was Robideau and he wanted to make a comment.
No, that was not Joel Robideau. That was not Joel Robideau.
I'm thinking it's Robideau. Robideau said, oops, he already figured me out.
No.
Yeah, that's a tough situation. I know Eric Bolling, but Brandon, it does scare you if you got kids. Anytime somebody gets on any kind of pain medication, you can get hooked on it. I'm just telling you. I've been around that through my life, but it was amazing watching my dad have to take pain medication, and it was monitored by doctors and my mom, and how she would always probably give him a little less than what they recommended because she didn't trust it. She never did. She trusted doctors. She just didn't trust. Always trusted. She just looked at that stuff. She knew enough to be dangerous. Kind of like my wife says, she knows enough to be dangerous. And if my wife has any inkling that something's not right, her instincts are phenomenal. I'm telling you, I've seen them give us stuff before, and I don't know who it is. Maybe it been Maddie. She said, I'm not giving it that. I just know what that does, and I'm not doing it. We're going to go around that. She would. But, everybody doesn't have a registered nurse sitting at the house like I do. All right, folks. God bless. Have an awesome day. Friday Eve, right around the corner. Stick around 22 hours. We'll be back. If you're liberal, see if you can hold your breath for 22 hours, and we'll be back. God bless. See you tomorrow.